Welcome back to Big Content. A lot on the plate today.
Do you have stuff?
Brother, I always have stuff.
Oh my God. You're the one that's writing an essay.
Correct.
Did AI write that for you?
I always come correct. I don't even know how to use AI. The one time we've tried to use ChatGPT, they told us that Jimmy G played for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Got hurt against the Chiefs.
That's not what it said. I don't need it saying unfactual things.
What do you got? There's no water in this damn office.
All right, let's go. So you got to drink Diet Coke or alcohol.
I don't drink soda.
All right, we can do something personal. We could talk about an idea that I had, or we can talk about something that's more broad style. You choose. I made like Venn diagrams.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's start personal.
All right. Well, I want to talk about your YouTube.
Okay.
Because it was in a sense like a launch of sorts, I guess. You guys had your first, or you're starting to invest into your YouTube channel, long form content. You guys had your first video where you really made the content for YouTube, made a good thumbnail, etc. Went to, was it 8 games in 10 hours or vice versa?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about how it went. First of all, are you pleased with the first piece of content? Did it meet your expectations? Did it fall under? What did you learn from it? All that.
All right, so that's at the top of my list. I have 2 notes. One, Abe said something funny to me that I guess I didn't realize, and maybe this was our fault on this podcast, but he was like, wow, you really pumped and dumped short form content. Do you think you would say we were adamant about short form content?
100%.
Yeah.
I was really excited about it. I was like, these are my favorite types of content.
Yeah.
And then it just was something that the more you got to know it, the less you liked it. It was almost like a honeymoon phase. It was like a relationship. It was like a situationship, honestly.
It was like a pump and dump. It was like a fucking NFTs for a lot of people. So, you know what? Maybe I'll take the L and say we pumped and dumped it, because I'm still a believer in short form content. I do think you can get more exposure, more awareness, more views from doing that. Now, what we've come to realize is long form quality is going to win. And long form quality.
I also think we didn't pump and dump it. I just don't like how the platform is promoting a specific. You can make good short form content. And like I plan on continuing to do that. And we're going to put this podcast out in short form on TikTok, because that's where we can grow. I just think that the majority of the way that the platforms are created are not to promote good, healthy content. So you can make short form content. It's just like the way that the world is centered around it right now is not in a good spot.
But we were saying create YouTube shorts, create TikToks, right? Create.
I still think you should do it in.
But I think
valuable.
It all should come from YouTube first. It should all not, and to be clear, long form quality content could be in the form of well-written blogs or articles. It could come in the form of podcasting, where you're getting people to listen for 50 minutes. I think it could come in the form of YouTube. Honestly, TikTok.
Sick of your shit, Abe. Sick of it.
TikTok has 6-minute videos now. So does Twitter. If you pay Elon, he'll let you post like 5 minutes these days. So you can create long form quality content, but my new fucking North Star and everything I do is it's less so about long form. I'm a believer that you should go in the path of long form for a multitude of reasons that we'll probably speak about, but quality of content.
It is hard to make quality content in a short form manner. It is much harder.
It's harder. Actually, I don't know if that's true. But what I do know is that I had to take a look in the mirror and then take a look around and be like, holy shit, the quality of content is vile. It's gross. It's disgusting. No one is fact checking. No one is doing research. No one is putting time and effort. It's just like, oh my God. And we still do it. And it's stuff I'm going to try and get us away from because I don't believe in it and I don't think it's good. It's not black and white. You got to balance the scales. On Snapchat, you got to be a little more aggressive with titling and thumbs, the quick turnaround. And to get quality content out, it takes a little longer. So I'm not saying by any means I'm perfect, but I know what I'm doing is wrong. So I got to push us in the.
It's good that you're like aware of it. Yeah. It's just like you can do every type of content. You just don't have to be corny while you're doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, and what's corny? It's like, like when you make something, you're just like, this isn't right. I'm just going to post it regardless. Like I feel grimy doing shit like that.
And a lot of our Snapchat stuff used to only live on the Snapchat shows. And it was pretty much just like, if it got views, we got paid on CPM and that's the only place it lived. So I didn't really care. Now that we're circulating that stuff other places, and my voice is behind it, I'm like, I don't want people fucking hearing me say like some dumb shit. So that is all a segue into the answer to your question. The next thing I've listed is YouTube failure. So awful viewership from what we expected. And I'm so fucking hype about it. I have been building Snapback for 6 years. It has been up and to the right. We've stacked wins, partnerships, incredible stuff. We're now a team of 6. And finally I get to go back to my roots of building and grinding. And really another thing that goes with that long form quality content is community building. That's exactly how we built Snapback. I was replying to 100 messages a day, and I've completely lost myself in doing that. And that's what happens. And you think it's not scalable, but then I go to Penn State this weekend, and every kid who asks, how do I become a creator? How do I do this? I'm like, build it one by one. Answer every single person. So if you comment on the long form YouTube videos from now for the next year, you will receive a comment back. I went through 315 comments on the first video. I went through 10 on the last one. Well, I did a little pushing to get people to comment, but
you AI'd the replies.
Exactly. No. Like I think we're giving away $100 to the top comment just to get people started and build that up. So first video got like 1.5K views, and I think the watch time was like a few minutes. Click-through rate was a little higher with the thumbnail. And then
what was the click-through rate?
3.2. So we really got to work on this. What's like a click-through rate for you guys? A solid one.
A solid one?
Because this was up for us.
They're hot, yeah. Ours is much higher than that.
I think
like yesterday I put one out. It's at 9.5%.
Yeah. So I want to get up to like that 8, 9, 10% range. It definitely, I'm wondering, like, should we not have even used this channel? Because it's so, what I think's happening is it's getting sent out, and it's getting sent out to people who have no interest in the content. But I know that over time it will all kind of.
What was your alternative? Starting a brand new?
Yeah, like we could.
It's the same feeling the way that you're having it now is like when we started this, and I was fucking pumped up to get 42 people watching our stuff, because now we got to build it back up again.
And I'm so committed to this build. And
we have 2 YouTube channels. Snapback.
We have the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're doing the podcast on a separate channel. And like, we're doing a video game series, our vlog stuff every Thursday, and then reacts. And people have said, like, you might want to do reacts on a different channel on your video game and do a live channel. But
the more I think about that, the more I'm like, yeah, most things should be separated. And if you're gonna start from building things up, it probably should be started.
But my gut is like, we want to be a media brand where you come to the channel for entertaining content and you get a little different taste. Now, is that not optimized for the platform? You could totally make that argument, right? If a subsection only wants to see video game content, but it gets sent out to everyone, and then the algorithm's like, oh, these people aren't clicking every time, then, overall the click-through rate's going to drop. I don't give a damn. We're going to create quality content in one place, and that's my bet that over time it will be successful. And then I look at like NBA's channel, right? Like, or ESPN even. They have, and Barstool too, like they have different videos that hit much differently, and others just don't get as many views. So you can't just post whatever, but that's the path we're going to take. And then we'll do analytics and review, and we'll iterate from there. But yeah, it's amazing how shitty the view count is, but I'm so excited to like figure it out.
Yeah, and I think like you said, it's the same direction we went with our long form, short form stuff. Like TikTok, obviously we made a drastic switch in the type of content that we're putting out now, and it's direct reflection of what's going on YouTube. We make some native content like our trivia games and stuff. We switched from like whatever our popular content on TikTok was. Prior to that was just random shit. Yeah. Didn't relate to our audience. Now we found something that does. Like those grid trivia games are obviously, I'm sure there's a large portion of people that aren't in love with football, haven't played fantasy football ever, but the likelihood of someone who watches that does play football and we can convert into our audience way higher. And I was just showing you a tool. TubeBuddy is this like extension that I think like YouTube is partnered with them. They're like the official extension for YouTube, where it has all these like underlying tools, A/B testing, thumbnails, titles, whatever. They have a lot of stuff like keyword stuff. And they just rolled out this new tool called something with YouTube Shorts. And basically what they do is you click Shorts, whatever, and it gathers all the analytics from your previous videos. And it will tell you a 15 or 30 second clip in which they look at the analytics of it, and I'll tell you where the most engagement was. And I'm not sure exactly what engagement metrics are from YouTube, but what I'm assuming is, the highest engagement levels are where the lowest percentage of people drop off. So if you're saying something that's enticing or something that people want to hear the rest of, that's usually a good teller of the best parts of your content. In the same way that companies that run paid traffic should be putting out organic traffic first, and whatever the best pieces of organic traffic are, you should be putting your money behind that because you already have a sample size of what works on social media. So for instance, if we wanted to run ads behind our YouTube channel and we wanted, when people searched for fantasy football on YouTube, just blank straight up, and we ran ads behind our most popular video from like last summer or this upcoming summer, it would probably do really well because we already know it does really well within fantasy football. So I think there's a lot of overlap there. So the new AI tools, well, I think we're still like pretty fucking far off, are going to be incredible. Like in 2 years, when that tool actually works perfectly and it says, hey, this is your highest engaged 30-second clip, watch it real quick, click this button, and we'll spit out a short for you. That shit's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But that's also the way that you should build. Like short form content right now is shitty. But if you're putting out quality long form content and just taking the clips from that, then there should be no gap in the quality of it.
It's scenes from a movie. That's why I opt for long form quality content, because you can clip anything within. You can't clip within a short. So create the long form, and then you can use those parts to promote, to create short form, to create more awareness. But
also when you're making that content or clipping that content, when people do, the percentage is very low of people that do convert from short form over to long form. Yeah. When they do, they know what they're getting when they show up. Like you're giving them exactly what content you have from the long form. So that therefore, when they do go over, there's no gap in expectations, which I think is the biggest flaw.
You know, we're being realistic for the creators, right? Like if they're just starting out and you got to work a full-time job, how do you create as much content? If you work for a week or two and put out one long form video, you can then get 7 pieces of short form out of that, versus vice versa. So yeah, create quality long form content. And once again, that could be through so many different channels. It doesn't just have to be a YouTube. If you like to write, you can do that. If you like to have AI write for you, you can have them do that too.
So YouTube, you're excited about it despite, underwhelming metrics early on. I think that's going to be the case for you. I think I said that, when we were talking about it, that's going to be the case for a while. But as long as you're like excited about it, that's big, because I think that's where like the real drop off is for most creators. It's basically a graph of your excitement level is, it's up here when you first start something. Anytime even in work, like you're in a corporate setting, you start a new project, you start a new relationship.
You're Adam Thielen. You start saying the Panthers could win the Super Bowl.
You start feeling like that, and then guess what? First fucking practice at training camp, and who's their quarterback right now? I guess it's gonna be a rookie.
Stroud,
yeah, when Stroud fucking airmails Adam Thielen over a 10-yard slant, boom, he's like, maybe we're not Super Bowl bound. But that's same thing with content. It's like, I started a new YouTube channel, I started a new podcast. Really excited. The first one, it goes back to like the announcement fucking videos. Your first episode of something is going to have the highest retention rate, the highest view count or whatever, because it's an announcement. Everyone wants to see you do well, but also wants to see you fucking fail. So people want to tune in for it. And then as soon as the views start dropping on all these episodes, it's like, can you keep your composure? Can you keep that grit? Can you keep that, all that kind of excitement? That's what separates people. Like eventually, we'll get back to somewhere that fucking raises you back up. We'll get back to your side of the mic.
I think your chart's absolutely correct. And another thing I learned at Penn State. So I went to Penn State this weekend, spoke on a panel, influencers in sports, but Thursday, I spoke to, kids for 2 hours. 90% of them, summer internship. So I started using them as much as they were trying to use me and just ask them questions. One mind-boggling thing. One kid said he gets his sports news on Instagram. Blew my mind.
Wow.
Because I was just like...
That's actually that's great content play. Just like asking younger kids what they think about certain things.
That's what we do. Yeah. That is how I've always operated the business and how I know and why I got in trouble with ESPN, because I shat on them and said, there's no ESPN exec who's listening to what the audience is doing or wants to happen. So what I told them was, would you commit to being and putting out content every single day for 5 years? Because if you did, I would guarantee your success. And no one will do that. No one will do that.
They all said yes, though.
No, I don't even think people say yes to that.
Because 5 years is a lot.
5 years is a lot, and every single day is a lot. And because the theory is, if you did it every single day, even if you weren't that talented, if you knew you were doing it every day for 5 years, you would just have to get better. You would be like, what the fuck am I doing? You would either give up or you would get better. And if you committed to 5 years, so by committing to these long-term things, I know we'll be successful.
I like the ad. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
I know it's genuine, and I feel like I was trying to get this point across for like months, like this is the direction we need to go in, and you're just like, whatever. Switching gears to, let's talk about.
Wait, I don't get another choice? Like another. Okay. So we did personal and now it's overarching.
We could do an idea or like a theory I have or something that's more like popular. Theory. So I was thinking about, we've talked about this a lot. Content creators give value. I think it's the reason why people like to watch social media content over like TVs or commercials or things like that, right? It's because we're not trying to sell you all the time. The best content creators don't try to sell you on things all the time. So I was thinking about what if big companies who ran commercials, right? Like TV commercials, started producing commercials the exact same way content creators. For instance, if Allstate bought a bunch of 60-second commercials over the next 6 months, the first one, the only thing they did was have someone on screen teach you how to change a flat tire. Didn't give you a sales pitch. Didn't say sign up for Allstate, get 15% off the next fucking 2 months or whatever. The next video was, here's how you check whether or not you need to change your oil. If they went about it just giving value via commercials, I think that campaign would fucking rip.
I agree.
I think it would be incredible.
my instant moment was TurboTax. Like if TurboTax was like, here's how to file your taxes, or here's what a good write-off could be. Like you're not thinking about that, something in 60 seconds. Now 60 seconds though, that's short form content. Do you think they'd be able to deliver that value? I get the changing the tire idea.
I think it'd be cool. Do you know how like ironically people would love them like ironically? No, like Allstate, you are the shit. Even if I don't understand.
The press would go crazy too. Like the media attention you would get from it. I think it's
teach me 5 things about cars that I should know that I don't know right now over the next 6 months, and I'll be like, also, you're the GOAT.
Yeah.
That's it. Like they
any
would get
company
the
could do it. McDonald's, how to make the best burger in 60 seconds.
Exactly. Like how do you make a burger? It's like 30 seconds inside 30 You know what I mean? Like there's so much that they just leave on the table for it. And I'm like, dude, if a commercial, if a big company just thought about ways to give value, it's how content creators get ahead and are getting ahead and will get ahead over the next 10 years. It's like, because people want to watch things that help them in real life. And that's it. I don't know. That was my idea I was thinking about the other day. I was like, someone get me in touch with Allstate. Like immediately. Get me in touch with get me in a fucking room. I wonder if they would laugh me out of the room. Like if I sat down with 7 executives and I was like, get someone to change a tire in 60 seconds,
I think they would think it's smart. I would think also that they would just be like, oh, revenue and new, customers. Like, and I know for a fact they would then sell themselves in the final 15 seconds. Like, I know that without
they couldn't. They're just like,
they would not be able
to sell. Yeah.
Right. Because they wouldn't be able to play the long-term game of it, which it would have to take, and it would be highly risky. But I think the risk would be worth it. All right. So what other companies come to mind that you think could do it?
I didn't think of any on the spot, but I was like, we could do a draft, I feel like. Dude, it could work for any company. It's so simple, I feel like.
Yeah. And the thesis is just like deliver value.
Teach someone.
It's the easiest way. Teach someone a new skill in 60 seconds and put your fucking logo in the corner.
That's teach someone a new skill. Entertainment's okay. It's crazy how many entertaining people there are in the world, yet the percentage of commercials that are funny or entertaining that try to be are not.
Yeah.
There's been I feel like there's 3 commercials over the last 10 years that have actually been funny that made me laugh out loud. Is it because they have to be political? Chicken. Yeah, not even, it's just almost entertaining. Almost entertaining. It was okay, huge dub.
Yeah.
It's the quality of content is so low. It's on TikTok levels of content that get a couple comedians to do some commercials for you. And I wonder if that even matters. I wonder if entertaining content would matter because it doesn't necessarily track back. When I think of entertainment on social media, and how creators who their main value prop is entertaining will typically monetize through merch sales or live appearances. If you're someone really funny on TikTok, you could do stand-up and do tours because your audience wants to come see you. With a commercial, it's you do have to, because every commercial is very industry specific, right? So it's you would have to have a value prop that wasn't entertaining because you're not looking to sell merch, you're not looking to sell that. It would have to be a teaching moment, I think. So the ones that come to mind to me are for sure cars, taxes, lawyers, shit like that is very, if a lawyer went on there and just gave you 3 tips to make sure you don't do before doing X, Y, Z, whatever you specialize
in. All right, what about one of the sports books? What would you do? Would you teach people how to bet, right? Instead of running, bet 5, win 100 and DraftKings sports.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are some industries that are probably better off TV.
You
just
think?
Nail commercials.
You don't think if they, in a fun, creative way, demonstrated what a spread bet is, what a parlay is.
I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
I think that's really good. I think if you had a group of girls that didn't understand gambling, were on a couch and they watched a commercial, oh my God, I understand now. I want to bet on fucking.
And then who do you think they'd bet with?
Correct.
The fucking logo.
Get us in a fucking room. Get us in a room with the execs, man. Ready to rip. Yeah, that was my other idea.
That's good.
Real good.
We need someone to tell us it's bad so we can kind of talk through it. Because
Abe.
That's funny. I was talking through, I was listening to a podcast yesterday about Barry Horse. Are you familiar with him? He popped on the MLB betting scene and was essentially like, he's an engineer and loves data and shit. And he's had like these crazy gambling edges, and all these sharp sports bettors were like, you might be sharp, but like your edges can't be this big. And then he's talking philosophically. And essentially what he said was, it got to a point where he was clearly the best in class. Like he was the guy. And all he was told was like how great he was. And it definitely got to his head. Even when he was aware of it, it still got to his head. And so just having, counterpoints, like I think it would be helpful for this, because we're
you and me are sitting here like, it's the greatest fucking idea ever. And everyone's like, you're a moron.
Yeah,
like they've tried this.
No, I think if we brought other people in, they would think it was smart, but I would love to hear, someone play devil's advocate, just so we could talk through it and get to the best.
Yeah, so I wanted to, I think there are a lot of different ways to grow a community via being a content creator. And I think something that I witnessed over the last 2 weeks, specific to TikTok platform, was their CEO going into, what is it, the Senate hearing? Whatever it was, the government hearing.
Shit.
He played this situation. He put on a masterclass.
You think?
100%. How he got on TikTok and made videos, like personal videos, talking about himself and the company, I thought was such low-hanging fruit that nobody does. I do it personally all the time. I get on the camera and I talk about my personal life or what's going on within the business. It is like the single most powerful weapon you can use that no one uses, because executives in these companies think it's like risky or whatever. This guy went under oath, and you only get to see like one-sided clips of this.
Right.
And he just made like a mockery of the U.S. government, because they sound, I don't know if you've seen like the clips people have made, like make fun of the U.S. government, like, yes or no, is TikTok, yes or no? You know what I mean? Just like really funny shit. And the U.S. government like doesn't realize how ridiculous they sound, because they've never needed to care.
Right.
But now when this guy goes on TikTok and he puts out a video, which he can blast to as many people as he wants, probably.
Oh my God.
And he comes off,
the fire button they talked about?
Yep.
You think that
his thumb's got hurt right now. Yeah. When he goes on and talks like a human being, not above people, but to people.
I like that it wasn't highly edited either. That 100%. That was key.
So he gets on and just talks to people like they're humans, and every comment, he has an army. He has an American
WWW.
Correct. He has now an American TikTok army.
Yeah.
That has his back. That are probably like, half the comments are, I didn't read through all the comments. They're all positive. I'm surprised if they're not like China over US.
China over US.
So the US government has not needed to care, because they have so much power. And I don't know if this is actually like a changing point or a tide changing thing. But if there ever comes a point where like the U.S. population matters in these types of votes, like we're here. Yeah. It's here already to the point where I wonder, I don't know. I just watched the situation unfold, and I'm like, man, these people are so fucking clueless. It's the same way that these execs in these big companies like just keep ripping commercials when they're watching Jax and everybody blow up on social media and not think it matters to their bottom line. And I don't know what the bottom line of the U.S. government looks like in this situation.
It's on a billboard in Union Square. It's like -$8 trillion.
I didn't even mean financially, but yeah, that's really funny. I don't know, dude. I was just watching it play out, and I'm like, this is so smart, but like not even really. It was really not that hard for him to do that. And now there was probably a ton of American people that were like scared of TikTok. Like they're spying on us. They hear one guy just be normal, and they're like, I like this platform actually. I like the people that are running the platform.
And now you got super fans, right? Like
everybody, it's almost like when you add a wide receiver one to a group of people. Like DJ Moore goes to Chicago, and now it's like we don't need the Chase Claypools and the Darnell Moonies to be the ones. Like we don't need, like every fan of TikTok moves up a tier a little bit. It's fucking crazy. Yeah. I thought it was so interesting how it played out.
Yeah, because it is interesting. So Instagram's head of product, I think it's his head of product. I'm blanking on his name. He's gotten on the app and actually posted some stuff on what's coming, and people love that stuff too.
I would say though, that stuff doesn't matter. I don't think it matters as much unless you are in the face of adversity. unless you're going through a problem is when people show.
It doesn't matter as much, but it's just to your point of this natural, authentic, right? In this space, we constantly talk about being authentic and relatable, and people just are never authentic and relatable. And we see it in sports all the time. Someone fucks up in a press conference and it's like, oh, what did their PR give them to say, right? Because PR is very important, but it's also like, what if we just let it rip? Like, why is everyone obsessed with Lamar Jackson's tweets right now? Because it's authentic.
Because he's going through adversity right now, and people like to see how people handle adversity. So it's and when you're going through adversity is like when you could be vulnerable, or when people already know you have to be vulnerable in order to be truthful. So it's like when you could dive into that, I think it's one of the most powerful tools as a creator, as a brand, as a company. And when he did it, like he elevated TikTok.
And on that scale, right? Like,
and on that scale is crazy. Yeah. And I mean, I've done it like personally many times. Like when I've gone out on TikTok after the whole situation and like just did like a quick Q&A answering 10 questions, 10 videos or whatever, 95% of the comments are like, damn, like I appreciate you doing this. I'll stop leaving negative comments. And I wasn't like looking for that. I was just
you
like.
You have El-Riz though.
From what?
Huh?
What do you mean?
Just, I was saying.
I don't think I've ever seen a comment like that. No, but it just goes such a long way. So I think when you are in the midst of facing challenges, problems, adversity, is when you need to step up the most. You know, I think that goes for most aspects of life, but I don't know.
All right, what else do you have? I honestly just have the Q&A stuff at the end. I thought there were a couple good questions. So if you have more main topics.
I don't really. There was one other thing I kind of wanted to tie into that. Danny Miranda had the president of Shopify on his podcast. It was like 15 minutes into the podcast, and the guest was like, you know, I like listening to podcasts like that because, again, it makes the company more relatable. Just show me one person who like cares, and I'm like, I like the company a lot more. This dude was like, he was talking about his parents, and then he was like, my grandma died this morning. And I was like, whoa. And it got like really deep. And I was like, this is crazy levels of like vulnerability. And it took like kind of a spin that I didn't expect, but I was just kind of tying it into being very authentic. He was like, I easily could have canceled the podcast. I easily could have just like started going down like a rabbit hole or whatever. I just like found a lot of respect for him in that moment of time. And I was like, this is cool seeing someone who is so successful and high up sharing something that's very real and very like raw, whatever. I was going to kind of
it's gonna change people's lives because we came from a generation where obviously social media didn't exist, so lives were definitely more private, and because of that, people were more private. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because when we share, it impacts others and they see different things and it can help their lives. So. Yeah, we talked to J.R. Smith on the podcast, and, you know, the clips that we run on social are, you know, him talking about LeBron or him, you know, talking about his dream golf foursome. But, like, the most impactful stuff is, you know, right in the beginning where he's talking about how, like, he went straight from high school to the league, right? And then obviously everyone jokes about J.R. Smith and, you know, drinking and, you know, loves to shoot and all that stuff. And no one thinks of him as like a student athlete, right? They really think about him playing golf now. But the student aspect was really interesting. And I just assumed that he just didn't apply himself because he was so talented on the basketball court. But he said, like, he just wasn't talented in the classroom and he was dealing with some deficiencies as well. And so because of that, he knew he wasn't going to be the best student, but it discouraged him from trying to be a better student. And holy shit, if you're a kid out there who's like, I'm not good at math, and because of that, I'm going to shut down. But fucking J.R. Smith is like, no, go like get help, get tutored, get medicated, you know, whatever.
Someone that you look up to. A lot of it comes back to like, you have to be inspired by people that you feel like you would be able to hang out with in real life and being like, man, they did this. Therefore, I feel like I can also go down that route. It's all about being able to relate to somebody that you already find yourself relatable to.
Yeah, keep sharing.
See the clip of Gilbert Arenas, actually? It was kind of like on a similar topic.
What did he do?
He was in college he was at the University of Arizona, I think, Arizona State or whatever. Yeah. And it was another, I can't remember the other NBA player that was on his team. Maybe Channing Tatum, I think. Channing Frye. Channing Tatum is the actor. Channing Frye. So, like, we walked into class, like, the first day. He was a freshman. Yeah. Sat, like, big lecture hall, whatever. Sat up front, like, front row of the class. And 10 minutes into the class, Gilbert Arenas was just like, man, this is fucking boring. He's like, let's go. He just walks out to the end of the classroom. He's like, this shit is boring, and turns all the lights off in the lecture hall and leaves. And I was like, man, what a fucking asshole. Yeah. Just doing that. I don't know, it just made me think.
Yeah. Well, at Penn State, I was with Brad Kraut, who I've talked about before on here, you know, the academic weapon. He, you know, I saw him this weekend, and his viewership, right? He was talking like, hey, my views are down. Are you seeing that amongst other people? And I was like, yeah, we are. Don't, keep grinding, all this stuff. But then he fucking, then he fucking shows me his Instagram DMs and the people he's impacting. Like, he's literally changing lives. And it all just goes back to this quality, long form content. Really, this idea of like, know what you do this for, know why you do it, and be consistent with it. And you know what? If your video gets 6 views, but if fucking one person's live chain, you can't monetize that, but that's powerful.
Also, I've been thinking a lot about this. It's like, if you get one comment that's like, I love your content, or one comment that's like, oh, this changed my life, or one comment like that, it's like, you've, not in the cliche way, like, you've made it. You know what I mean? You haven't made it. Like, you haven't made it, but you've done what most people cannot do. Most people cannot create something out of thin air that impacts someone to that significance. So you have made it over the hard part. And if you continue doing what you're doing, that 1 turns into 2, turns into 4, turns into 8. Like, you have made it. You just haven't made it to the level of scale that you want to yet. But you've done the 99% hard work. I truly believe that. Like, if you can get a comment that's like, yo, I watch every single one of your videos, super helpful, super valuable, it's just time at that point. It's literally just patience and time. That's it. All right, Q&A?
Yeah, Q&A. First question comes from Tommy, who once again claims he is not associated, but TBD. Tommy asked, talk through your schedule of creating content. They were kind of curious how ours differ from each other, if there's anything we do that, sets us up for success as opposed to failure, like me on YouTube. You begin.
I'll speak to the successful part. You could finish it off. You could blow the save.
Well, we'll talk through like actually Monday through Sunday. Are you a Sunday starts the week or Monday? Like, what's the first day?
I love every day. But what do you mean? Like, I went out to brunch on Sunday, this previous Sunday.
No,
so
I'm not saying like what starts the week, like how to be successful. Like, when people say the start of the week,
Monday for sure.
Yeah, people believe Sunday.
Yeah, it's just like religious people.
No, like people, and it really freaks me the fuck out.
Doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yeah, okay.
You're gonna do something differently on Sunday than you do Monday?
Go to church.
You haven't been to church in fucking ever. All right, so I don't have a schedule as it pertains to creating content or making the content, whatever. I dictate that around how I feel pretty much. Like today, like I said, I got a ton of sleep last night. So I woke up feeling, no, for real. I woke up feeling great. And when I have good sleep, I know I can get into a deep work zone. Like I know I can make really good, high quality content. I know that I could do really deep research. And those are the pockets of my week that I look for in order to do so. I also know myself well enough to know that I am my most creative, energetic, and well thought in the morning. So like if I wake up at 7, have my first cup of coffee at 8, by like 9:30, 10, I'm in my zone there. So that's typically when I will make content or research for content. So when I can find those pockets of deep work, that's when I go in on things. Sometimes you got to force yourself. Obviously, if you have like a deadline for things, I think most people probably sleep better than me, so they could probably find those pockets better. But I try to dictate it around like who I am as a person, not necessarily like time of day or day of the week. But me personally, I don't like filming at night. I don't like researching at night. Like by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I'll work if I need to, but I would like to shut down work-wise, just because I know I'm not my best self at that time.
Okay. I think the big takeaway there is self-awareness. Obviously, we've talked about that before. Know what you're good at and know when to do things to maximize the return. I'll actually walk you through my...
I want to add one more thing, sorry, because like in the summer, when I'm starting to rip off like 5, 6 longer form videos a week, if I wake up and I'm like, man, I don't feel good, but I need to create, all the energy I have will basically go into the one creative thing. So if you have a bunch of administrative tasks and a bunch of creative tasks, put the good energy into the creative tasks, because you could do the administrative tasks like later on in the day, not even paying attention. Next year, 2 years down the line.
I actually got hit with the underpaid tax bill, so I owe a lot of money to the IRS. My schedule. So Sunday night, Sunday at some point, we record the Snapback podcast. It's about an hour shoot in total. Probably spend 2 hours prepping, getting set up, sending footage. During the football season, we also will record one of our Snapchat shows here to argue after the games on Sunday. So like halftime Sunday Night Football. On Monday, we'll also record probably another Snap show, something along those lines. Tuesday, we're recording our YouTube React stuff. And so now I've actually scheduled stuff into the calendar. Of course, some of this stuff includes other people, so, a little less flexibility there. But I did a podcast on Monday, did YouTube Reacts yesterday, did Club Top Shot at 4:30 yesterday. On Wednesday, we obviously have this podcast, so I come in around noon and then normally have the Snapback podcast Wednesday night. On Thursday, record another episode of Here to Argue, record a live video game series for the YouTube channel, record the pod tomorrow night. And then Friday through the weekend is normally doing our vlog stuff. So that's where the travel.
Very regimented.
Yeah.
High volume.
Well, we've just added, obviously, some of that YouTube stuff. Yeah, I realize I'm recording a fuck ton of content.
Are you going to cut anything out?
No, no plans at the moment to cut anything out. The only stuff, like our Snapchat show viewership is down, and that's across the board. And like I said, we were really doing a lot of that stuff for revenue purposes to just like make money off of it. And with that being down, the fact that we're not creating super high quality content and not making as much on it, if we get to a point where it's just not profitable, we'll cut all of that and reconfigure and use those resources separately. But yeah, scheduling stuff in is hyper important, I think. And then I also have an ability to just like do shit on the fly and turn it on. A lot of people do not, and that's okay. But I can work at night. I actually don't like working in the morning. So yeah, I favor the nighttime. Yeah,
I don't. My schedule is way less packed when it comes to content, I guess.
No, but like if you film trivia on the couch, like you didn't have that. Fair. Did you have that scheduled for after this?
No, we didn't.
Right.
That one was
and you're just able to kind of do it. Now, that's the luxury of doing this full time. So,
well, I was just thinking because like, okay, so say like right now my off season schedule in terms of fantasy videos is like I have a video release, me personally, every Monday, Tuesday, Friday.
Okay.
If I feel great on Saturday, I might film all three of those on Saturday. There are days where I might film Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Friday morning, and be like, Tony, I need you in here early to edit those and get them around. So for me, I don't like having regimented schedules like that because I know a lot of the times when I get to that time, I'm going to be like, man, I don't really feel like doing this right now.
No, that's a fair point. And I think a lot of what we had done in the past was a little less evergreen, and stuff maybe you're doing is a little more evergreen. But what happens if Lamar Jackson gets traded, right? As a fantasy company, someone's got to you got to turn on, right? So, I think it varies. And once again, this long form quality content is going to hopefully get you out of this fucking hamster wheel cycle of, oh my God, Lamar requested a trade. Like, I got to make content. I got to do this now. As opposed to, I would highly recommend, like, Lamar Jackson's going to be in the news for the next week or so. Like, I promise. Go back, create a 10-minute video on the history of Lamar with the Ravens and why it's gotten to this point. That shit will hit. And if I could...
Because that's storytelling.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're telling a story.
Instead of I post some lazy TikTok about why the Ravens fucked up. But if I could actually show highlights, put images and articles and press conferences and took that time, and then you can chop those up and put those on. That's the path. And that's where you're reacting to stuff, doing stuff timely, but it's not just low quality content.
Tell the story. Don't let the story tell you.
Ooh. Okay. Next question came from Smitty. Smitty said,
Smitty baby,
what's your favorite ice cream topping?
Ooh.
So not in the ice cream, right? Cookie dough doesn't count. You get it.
Well,
no.
Hold on. You can go to places
cookie dough. Okay.
I would say something crunchy, probably like crushed up Oreos or probably some type of crushed up cookie on top. Ooh. I used to love gummy bears, but if you let them sit for more than 3 seconds, they become fucking rocks.
Yeah. My favorite ice cream topping, the only time I'm not getting like ice cream shit mixed in with it is like sprinkles. So I think I gotta go sprinkles.
Yeah, the older I get, the more I feel like toppings are super overrated on ice cream.
Yeah.
Because the way I realize this is if you get, something filled with a lot of things in there, if you get like cookie dough and Oreos like within the ice cream, I find myself being like, man, I can't wait to just have a bite with nothing inside of it.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right. Question from Kelsey. What advice would you tell your younger self when you first started building your brand? I'm going to take this, and it goes back off of, what I was saying earlier. If I could talk to my younger self right now, I would say you're going to be doing this for the next 10 years. And right now it's only been 6 years, but obviously I anticipate doing this for a much longer time. If I knew, speaking to a direct reflection of myself, and they were like, you're going to be doing this for 10 years, I think a lot of the ways I would have operated would have been different. If I always knew that I would be here and I would always just like solve for the long term, and content would be focused that way, and relationships would be focused that way. And not to say I've like burned bridges because I thought I needed to get to certain places, but I just think if I knew that, and everyone who's going into this should think that way. That would have been super helpful for me.
Yeah, I feel like the one thing I would say, not even to me as like a content creator or a brand, and this is something anytime I'm like on a podcast with a college kid, one of the first things I'll usually tell them is you find out things that you don't like way quicker than things that you actually do like. And I think that helps you narrow down your path. And that works in a variety of different scenarios. Obviously, I would tell myself to just, as soon as you don't like something and you feel like it's not helping you grow as a person, get it off your plate. I feel like a lot of people are scared to move from one thing to the next because of outside judgment, or they're like, oh, I don't know if I spent enough time on this. It's like, well, are you proud of what you're making? You know, like just make stuff that you are proud of. And I promise you won't regret having done that. I look back on the most random shit I've made over the years. Like on my personal Instagram, I have like 5 random videos that are just like chopped up clips of different parts of New York with just a song that was stuck in my mind. It would just be like 5 pictures of me and my friends like out at bars and a random fucking video that I made for no reason that I just wanted to make. And I'm like, dude, I love those videos. It made no difference in my life. Probably 4 people liked it. Didn't get me any business deals, but I was proud of those. Like it just made me so happy making that stuff. When I look back, I'm like, don't let the wrong things dictate so many people. And it's like, as long as you're making things that you're proud of, it's not the wrong path. You know, I think your gut will tell you pretty much 99.9% of the correct path that you need to go in.
That's all the Q&A I had written down that I had highlighted. But if there's any that spoke to you, but now I'm just craving Cold Stone right by Times Square.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't had Cold Stone. There's a Cold Stone like near me growing up.
Cold Stone's the fucking goat.
That's where they like chop it up in front of you, right?
With the fucking on the thing. You know, some dude got viral as shit off Cold Stone during COVID.
And then he like made his own ice cream shop, right? Yeah. What a time.
What a time.
Kelsey sent me a question. She didn't put it in the chat. I'm not sure why she didn't. I didn't want to say in the chat in case it's too personal, but it'd be interesting to hear how creating content has negatively affected you. If it's hurt, ended relationships, things you've given up on or missed out. Just a thought, considering content creating is so glamorized, when in reality, you probably lose just as much as you get. Lack of privacy, work being 24/7, constant hate, etc. I think it's a great question. I'm sure there are, I don't know. I don't really think about how my life would be if I hadn't created content. It's just been such a prevalent theme in my life up to this point. So it's almost like comparing what your life would be like relative to what it is now. Content has unlocked everything for me, right? Like it's the reason I have the life I have now. Have I lost relationships because of it? I don't know if I would distinctively say like I had to break up with this person because of content or whatever.
Because I'm grinding fantasy football content.
Well, there are times where I'm just like I don't have the energy to spend on like I would like to be this person to you, but I don't know if I have that a part of me to give to you. I've definitely like lost friendships, but not because if they fade out for the reasons that were probably going to play themselves out anyways, you know? And it's like, as I grow older, I have a much smaller friend group, but any friend that I do invite into my circle is somebody that I'm way more aligned with now. Like all of my friends from high school and college, we were probably friends because we partied a lot and we went out a lot. And like, that was our common denominator. As I'm getting older, my friends like yourself are like people in the creative field, people that are like inspiring to me and people that I feel like are building and people that I can build with. So negatively relationships, I think if you put it in a blanket statement being like I lost relationships because of this, whatever, can be looked at in a bad light. But I think for the most part, it's almost like trimming the relationships that probably weren't going to work long term.
I don't see it as a negative. Like if someone can't understand why you're doing a certain thing, then absolutely not. If I stop hanging out with my banking friend because he's trying to develop his career and has to work till 10 p.m. and I don't get to see him at the bar or on the weekend, it's like if I'm mad at him for that, then we shouldn't be friends.
Well, that's what I mean. Like it wasn't like a bad, like no one was ever mad at me for doing it, but you just start to fade away because you have so much less time on the outskirts of your work and that type of energy that you don't prioritize them.
It also, you got to surround yourself with people, you got to get lucky to people who are understanding and who care enough. Like I'm very lucky that Hallie is okay with me traveling the amount I do because I could totally see a world where she's like, yo, shut this shit down. Like if we have a kid, we have another responsibility. Like there,
is the kid chase?
No, the big
ring chase. Psh.
We gotta pick a wedding date first, but there will be. I mean, I hope to have a family. Like for example, Stephen A. Smith. I think he's a fucking animal. He's a workhorse, but like I don't believe he's married anymore, and I would imagine that's because he's in Vegas and California, and it's just like you gotta make decisions. He's a content creator.
So what's negatively affected you the most as a content creator? Because like we've dealt with hate comments now. I've gone through 2 or 3 situations. I never really got hate comments until bigger situations kind of played themselves out, and then we started getting them, and then I realized like these people don't fucking matter to me at all. So I've kind of gone through that and worked that out internally that it doesn't matter to me. What else is negative? I guess like the ability to not shut your brain off can be very tough. I think the ability to like, you always have to be innovating because our revenue sources are not ones that you can rely upon for 5 years.
It's not like steel. I'm not selling steel where everyone needs steel over a long century-long period.
Yeah, for me, they're more like good problems to have. Stressful, but good.
Yeah, negative affecting from content creation. I don't really have many. You say like you can't shut your brain off, but I'm watching Hallie. When she's done work, she's thinking about other shit too. I get to think about stuff that's way more fun.
I've actually been trying to do that more. I've been trying to look at bdge as more of a 9 to 5 for me. So when I have like problems pop into my mind, like at night or something, I'm like, when I'm in the office, I'll attack it 100%. But for right now, like I want to focus on my personal life.
I don't stress, outside of about snapback, but I think it goes to, I'm really working on, when I say really working on, like I developed my own theory, and I think I've talked about this before, which is like the 24-hour, almost you're an asset. Think about yourself as a stock, right? It's like snapback is part of my life. Why do I have to segment it? Why would you separate? Because once you separate, then you're saying this is work, right? As opposed to like, no, this is part of who I am. Now people will say, don't make your job part of who you are, because then, you could fluctuate, but yeah, like working out is part, is there a specific
part
time?
Of snapback.
Yeah, it is.
Put
it's
the traps in back.
Yeah, it's like my health dictates, right? Your sleep schedule, it matters when it comes to work as well. So
be a 10-figure company.
Yeah, if you keep getting 2 hours of REM, watch out.
Oh my fucking Lord. Also, she asked about lack of privacy in there. I think lack of privacy, I don't think either of us are at the scale where like we really have a lack of privacy. I also think that we kind of choose how much, like if you're going to put yourself out there every single day, it's like you're choosing to do that.
Yeah, but no, I think we've been probably fortunate to not have to do anything, right? Like, all right, let's say Hallie and I break off the engagement. Even for you, right? Like you had to address the bdge thing, right? When you fired, and maybe you did want to keep that private. There's obviously no responsibility to, if Hallie and I broke off the engagement, to make a public statement. But because of being a content creator,
if you would make a social post about that, if it happened,
I would share that. Like if we were done, I would share that.
I think I would step in as your friend and advise you not to do that.
Hopefully
we don't have to go through that. But
I'll tell you a funny story after. The engagement's still on at this current day. That's interesting you say that, because if my belief as a content creator, right? I'm not just saying I create sports content. I share a lot of different things, right? A lot of opinions. And if my belief is the reason I share is so that it helps others, right? Then I have to share that I'm no longer engaged, because then it keeps it authentic and people know.
But would you really go into it?
No.
That's why it's like if you're gonna half-ass it, it almost feel like it's not worth it.
No, because I don't think you need to get into like she didn't do the dishes and like she.
I mean, everyone would understand that,
right?
I'd be like,
that would be
great decision.
That would be relatable. Yeah. I don't know. I totally get. There is no responsibility to do it, but as a creator, right? If you've made that decision to put yourself out there, I think you should share the highs and the lows.
How does that? But you're not sharing the lows. You're sharing a title.
No, that's a low.
You're not actually sharing what happened. That doesn't help people.
But I don't think you need to share necessarily what happened, but I do think maybe I could share like how I'm feeling or how I'm dealing with it. Not immediately, but over time. And I think if she's a part of the content, in a weird way.
That's fair. I agree with that, because
look, if people are gonna, it also would probably be helpful. People would speculate. Oh, you haven't posted about her. How is she? And it's like, oh, I should just make people, even to make me feel better, like, hey, please stop asking.
Yeah, that's true. I can't really tell you what to do and what not to post.
No. I don't think it would be unhelpful to get advice, right? I think that to be relatable, you got to share.
I would do it if you felt like you were doing it for you. That's what I would tell you to do.
As opposed to what?
You're like, I'm doing it to be relatable. It's like,
oh, no.
I think you should do it if you want to do it. Like, if it makes you feel better, if it's like, this is how I'm expressing myself about the situation, That will help people.
Right. If I feel like I had to do it because no, you should.
I would almost be like, send me the fucking video before you post it, and I'll tell you whether or not you should post it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's going to be a long video. It would be a long form quality piece of content, storytelling how the relationship began, how it disintegrated.
That's high quality. I'll put it on TV. I'll chop up some clips from it.
People are actually going to think the engagement's off by the end of this. We're all good. Although, I'll tell you a funny story. We went to Macy's. I guess that's where you get like the little gun to scan all the things for the registry. Yeah. And I was under the assumption that when you got wedding presents, you got them like after the wedding. Like you put out the registry so people knew what you wanted.
They would just buy them leading up, right?
They buy them fucking. Our wedding could be in 18 months, and someone could get
fired. You could just okay. No, sorry.
Well, no. Yeah. So I literally asked the lady. I was like, "What happens if the wedding gets called off?" And she's like, "Everyone just keeps the gifts."
You got a refund policy on your website?
It's I was like, that's insane. So I'm going home with a couple bowls or vases if fucking Hallie and I decide to not go through with this thing.
That's wild. You guys really need bowls and vases?
No,
like it's all you have.
Oh, don't get me started on registry and stuff. It's the biggest fucking joke. But
do you have any input on it? What did you say to put on there? A mic and a lighting system?
Yeah, right. A ring light. A ring light.
You said you want rings.
Well, my belief is that the registry, instead of the fine china and a fucking backgammon set that costs $150, put money towards the honeymoon or towards like experiences. I always opt for that type of stuff. Once again, that's self-awareness and also awareness to know that's just like not who she is. She loves those fucking little, what I say are stupid things, but that's what makes her excited. So
interesting.
Yeah, my business partner.
All right, wedding is still on, engagement is still on for now. Check back in weekly. We'll give you updates on it. Check back in weekly on the YouTube channel, the podcast stream, in the Discord. Yeah, do that. Subscribe, thumbs up, all that stuff. It helps us the most, I think, if you rate, review the podcast, and share with other people that you think this would help, especially
one by one. That's the biggest ask, right? Is realistically, if someone, now it's on us to create good content, but like, if you do like this and you think it could help someone, send it to one person, and we have no problem, duplicating that.
Yeah. Like, I feel good about this. There's no way I would never look back on these types of videos.
This
and be like,
episode, I feel really good about.
I felt great about the last two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fucking headphones on.
Yeah.
Ready to roll.
All
right. Love you. I'm done with this episode.
I mean, you thought you wanted the headphones, didn't you? I can solo it. I actually brought notes for the first time. So,
first time?
Yeah.
How's it feel to be a good content creator for the first time?
Well, I don't want to go that far.
Prepped, brought notes. I feel fucking alive today.
Why?
I slept for the first time in like a week.
Ah.
I have an Oura ring, and it tracks your sleep.
You're the type.
Yeah, you know what? I like to get reminded of how big of a piece of shit I am on the reg. And I hit over 2 hours of REM sleep last night.
Is that a lot?
For me, I don't think I've hit over like 45 minutes in maybe 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So
What do you think it was?
The maybe just not sleeping the last 6 nights in a row. Just won't catch up. Yeah.
No, that's not how it works.
How does it work?
You want me to get into my sleep my sleeping
I've never
bag?
wanted to be in a bag less. I'd rather have a bag over my head.
So I'm not going to. But if you haven't slept for 5 years, you don't just... It just all caught up, and you got 2 hours. Last night.
I'm ready to go.
All right, let's go then.
Yeah, dude.
Let's go.
I made like 6 videos this morning, went on someone else's podcast. Now I'm on your podcast.
Yeah.
Being a nice person, getting featured on this shit.
Thank you.
Oh, I also forgot to mention, I ran into someone.
Who knew me?
Yeah, I was at a party like 2 weekends ago. And it was a girl that worked.
No. I don't have any friends who party. We just work.
It was a girl that worked. Yeah, she knew you through work.
Why was she partying? Networking.
It was because you guys don't work together anymore.
No,
she turned cool after you guys stopped working together.
Okay, cool.
Where'd she work with you? It was a company that you used to work for or with.
I worked for 2 companies.
R. It starts with R. Rally?
Ooh.
Rally. You work at Rally? With?
Not really. Like, I was friends.
She seemed to vividly remember.
I never have had a partnership nor worked with them.
She thought your engagement post was about her. She thought you guys were married.
What?
How do you not know? Why was she so adamant about? Okay, so
what's her name?
I don't know.
I could know who the person is, but we did not work together at Rally. Are you positive?
Yeah, she was like, I told her what I did for work or whatever. She's like, oh, do you know Snapback Sports? And I was like, nah, never heard of that.
Are you sure it's Rally though?
Yeah. She was like, Snapback Sports, like, do you know Jack? And I was like, yeah, just literally.
Do you know what Rally does?
No.
It's a collectible company. Did she give you collectible vibes?
I was drunk, so she didn't. There was only one vibe I was getting. Regardless,
what does she look like? Size, height.
This is just going down a path we don't need to.
Put me in the height. Put me in the height category. Short, tall.
Short.
She's from New York.
Yeah.
From New York.
From New York. Definitely Rally. I assumed you. What? I thought that was a place you worked prior to.
I worked at Action Network and Whistle.
Yeah, no, it was definitely Rally.
I went into Rally's office once.
Maybe she just had a pleasant experience with you.
I don't think it was Rally.
100% was. I'm not like going to go out of my way to figure it out, but whatever.
I would like to know who it is.
Just letting you know that you got some people on the streets that are like, Jack's a good guy. And that's when I was like,
now I don't.
You probably worked with his brother.
Yeah, maybe it was.